Rita? Okay. Okay. Good morning to all. I welcome you all for this third session. So, in this session, mainly I am presenting the application of inverse models, inverse model to estimate flow and transport parameters in groundwater systems. So here the efforts have been made to estimate both flow and solute transport parameters simultaneously in groundwater systems. As we know, groundwater is a important resources of the planet Earth, and it is having the inherent advantages over the surface water resources. In view of this increase in population and unabated pollution worldwide, there is an urgent need and to manage the vital but sinking groundwater resources efficiency for the sustainable utilization. Groundwater process being insidious and complex in nature, the pivotal role of the mathematical modeling in the design and management of groundwater systems plays an important role. The prior knowledge of aquifer parameters is indispensable for successful and reliable modeling, which is required. ಇದು ಬೇಡ ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ The transport models estimate the spread and pollution concentration in the groundwater regime, beginning at its point introduction to location down gradient of the source. Transport models require the development of calibrated groundwater flow model for a reliable assessment of the velocity and direction of groundwater flow that are based on the field data. Mathematical modeling techniques have been extensively used in the study of groundwater resource management for the past 20 years. To build a model for a real groundwater system, we need to solve two problems. That is the forward problem, that is nothing but the simulation, and its inverse, that is the calibration model. Both should be solved. The forward problem, that is the simulation problem, predicts the unknown state of system variables by solving the appropriate governing equations, while the inverse problem determines the unknown physical parameters and other conditions of the system by finding the good match between the state variables of the observed and computed system. As we know, the governing equations to simulate the system, so any engineering system or the groundwater system, we have the different types of variables, that is the state variables, that is about which we need the information, and the constants. These constants are embedded in the governing equations. These constants are known as the parameters. Usually for the to simulate the system, we need these parameter values. So to get these parameters values, it is required to conduct number of experiments and the lot of financial implications and also the time. So to save the financial implications, time, and to conduct the experiments, the inverse models are playing a crucial role to get the parameters and to simulate the groundwater system. So as the major applications of the groundwater models to forecast water levels and effect on aquifer storage conditions with space and time for a wide range of operations, to investigate optimal well spacing for the withdrawing groundwater from the heterogeneous anisotropic aquifers, relative economic benefits for selective artificial recharge schemes at various places in the groundwater basin. So economize the lining of canal system, evaluate the rate of decline in groundwater table if the current withdrawal continue. Plan the best cropping pattern from the cost benefit and predict the seawater intrusion in coastal aquifers and planning of the remediation strategies to predict the spread of contaminants in polluted aquifers. See, the main objectives of this study. So here, since we are estimating the groundwater parameters, that is flow and solute transport parameters simultaneously, so we need both flow simulation problem and model and also the contaminant transport simulation model. So here the efforts have been made first to develop the flow simulation model, and that flow simulation model is coupled with the contaminant flow simulation model. So the coupling is a very important process here. The flow simulation model and contaminant transport simulation model both are coupled because to simulate the contaminant transport in the aquifer, we need the velocity components in the x and y and z direction. Then the second objective is study and analysis of coupled inverse modeling solution for various conditions. So here again the coupled flow simulation model is again coupled with the inverse modeling. So here just for the academic interest, so we have used first the gradient based method, that is the Gauss-Newton Markov algorithm. Then we have estimated the flow and contaminant transport parameters by using the Gauss-Newton Markov algorithm, which is the conventional based algorithm. Then, and this algorithm needs the gradient of the functions. So, or the derivative of the functions. Then here in the Gauss-Newton Markov algorithm, there is no guarantee that we are ending with the local optimum or global optimum because the end point, the optimum point may be locally optimum point or it may be globally optimum point. Then, so to overcome this difficulty or to overcome this, we have used two global optimization techniques, that is the genetic algorithm and the another most powerful algorithm, that is the simulated algorithm. So the application of simulated algorithm is very new for the groundwater modeling. Then the fourth objective of this study is to analyze the reliability of the estimated parameters by using the statistics. Then the identification of parameter structure. So that is the parameterization. So in the yesterday's session, Professor Dr. Mohan Kumar has explained you the inverse modeling, and the difficulties in the inverse modeling and the importance of parameterization, because the identification of optimum parameter structure is very important, because if the number of estimated parameters are more, then the problem become ill-posed problem. So that is the main drawback of the inverse modelings. So the identification of optimum parameter structure is another very important step in the model formulation. Then we have also, our effort have been made to use this developed coupled flow and transport simulation model to apply for the field problem. So here we have developed these models for the synthetic problem. And how the inverse model proceeds. So in the inverse modeling, first we are supposed to begin, then parameterization. So to overcome the poseness and non-unique solutions, so parameterization, that is the zonation. So within the zone, the parameters are considered independent to space and time. That means the parameters remains constant. They are not varying with respect to space and time in the zone. So this parameterization is very important step in the inverse modeling. Then the input observation data. So it is required to have some limited experimental data or the observation data. Then you can guess the initial model parameters. Then here the objective function or the performance criteria, since we are estimating both flow and transport simulation models simultaneously. So here the objective function is the uh, sum of square of head and concentration residuals. Okay, the objective function is the sum of square of head of concentration, head and concentration residuals, and we are minimizing this. Then if the convergent criteria is satisfied, then the the parameters are estimated and the reliability is to be analyzed by using the different statistics methods. If the convergence criteria is not satisfied, then the parameters are updated and same procedure is repeated here. So here we have not used any softwares. We have developed our own program, that is the computer program in the Fortran. So for that, we have first chosen a synthetic problem with the known boundary conditions, initial conditions. It is a synthetic problem. So here the problem is considered 6 kilometer by 6 kilometer. So we have the initial condition, one boundary, that is the south boundary is the constant head and constant concentration boundary. That is 100 meter is the head we have considered, and 100 ppm, that is the EC, electroconductivity. So in terms of salt, so that is entering, that is the at the south boundary. And also at the west boundary, we have considered the flux boundary, that is the water enters to the aquifer with a 0.25 meter per day, and also a concentration of 100 ppm enters. Then the east boundary is the no flow boundary. Then the north flow boundary is also no flow boundary. But for the aerial recharges, we have considered two strips. That is the extreme north strip. The aerial recharge is 0.0025 meter per day, and a concentration, solute concentration entering the aquifer system is about 100 ppm. Then the second strip, the aerial recharge is about 0.0015 meter per day, and the solute concentration is 80 ppm entering the aquifer region. So this is a very systematic synthetic problem with known boundary conditions and initial conditions. We know the boundary and initial conditions. This 6 kilometer by 6 kilometer area is divided into 9 zones. So here the number of zones are 9, and in each zone the parameters are not going to vary with respect to time and space. Means the parameters are constant in the zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. That is known as the parameterization. So we have also one injection or recharge well and one pumping well. So just the recharge well, so we are recharging the aquifer system by pumping or by injecting 500 cubic meter per second, per day, sorry, not per second, 500 cubic meter per day, and a solute concentration of 1000 ppm per day, or 1000 ppm, that's parts per million. Then the pumping well, that is the observation well, and we are pumping around 500 cubic meter per second. Then there are certain observation wells we have identified. So there are total 18 number of observation wells, and this region, that is the 6 kilometer by 6 kilometer, is discretized, the finite element discretization. Here the number of nodes are 49 and number of elements are 72. Mainly we have used the triangular elements with 3 nodes, and for the interpolation, the linear interpolation function is considered, and the head and concentration variations within the node is analyzed. So the governing flow equations, this is the governing flow equation. So dabba by dabba x, dxx, dabba h by dabba x. So Q is the source or sink term, then S is the sorority, and which varies with respect to time. Then also we have the governing solute transfer, where T is the transmissibility, that is the parameter, X is the state variable, and it varies with respect to X and Y. It is a two-dimensional problem. So the governing solute transport equations, again, see the differential equation dabba by dabba x, dxx, that is the dispersivity. So dxx is the longitudinal dispersivity, that is, it is the on plane, in the acting on the plane whose normal is x and in the x direction, and dxy is acting on the plane whose normal is in x direction, but it is in y direction. So dxy is the transverse dispersivity, dxx is the longitudinal dispersivity in the x direction. Similarly, dyx and dyy, and dabba c by dabba t, that is the concentration variation with respect to time. So those differential equations are solved by using the finite Galerkin finite element formulation, and after the solving by using the Galerkin finite element method, we have used the system equations, that is algebraic geometric equations, algebraic equations, that is the flow, G is the conductance matrix, then P is the storage matrix, and F is the nodal discharge. So these are the, after the solving the finite element by using the Galerkin finite element, these are the system of equations. Then the objective function or the performance criteria. So this performance criteria is formulated based on by estimating observed head and concentration values simultaneously. So we are estimating here both head and concentrations simultaneously, because we have coupled the both head transport model and the flow model. So this objective function is the sum of the square of the head and plus sum of the square of the concentration residuals. So by using the inverse modeling, we have estimated transmissivity, longitudinal dispersivity, and transverse dispersivity by using the Gauss-Newton Marklet algorithm, which is a conventional optimization technique, and this method is based on the gradient based. This is a gradient based method, or it needs the derivative of the objective function. So here, for the synthetic problem, we have applied this Gauss-Newton Marklet algorithm. The problem presentation, input data, and boundary conditions. So since we are doing it for the synthetic problem, we know initial conditions, we know the boundary conditions, we know the observed concentration and the observed head at the different observation wells. The problem is solved for the two states, that is the steady state and transient state. So considering system variation independent of time and with dependent of time. First, we have considered, since it is a synthetic problem, first we have considered the head and concentration values at the observation points are absolutely error free. But in the to compute the parameters for or from the FEM model, but in practice, the whatever values, that is the head and concentration we are measuring in the field, they are not free from the error. So those are the noisy data. So we are considered noisy head and concentration data and also computed, that is computed head and concentration, we have added some noise or we have corrupted the data. And for three sets of heads and concentration, that is with the normal zero mean and unit variance, that is 0, 1, that is error free or noiseless data. And also we have generated by adding the noise, that is zero mean and unit variance, that is 0 0.01, 0.1 and 0.1. So these are the random numbers we have generated by putting or by generating these or by adding these noises. So here we have estimated 9 transmissivity values and 9 longitudinal dispersivity values and 9 transverse dispersivity values. So all these means 27 parameters for all 9 zones we have estimated simultaneously. Similarly, the problem is solved for the transient state, that is the variation of state and state variables with respect to time, that is H and C. So these are the estimated parameters. So the initial parameter in the zone 150, so the parameter considered parameter is 150, the estimated parameter is also 150. And the initially assumed parameter, so we started searching the solution by an initial point. Initial point we have considered for T 200, one set of for the one set of simulation. Then second initial, we started searching the solution with the initial T value 100, and also we have started searching the T value solution considering T value as 20 and also T value is at 10 for all these initial points. So the solution is converging with 150 only. So that is 150 in zone 1, 150 in zone 2. These are the transmissive values. Then similarly, the longitudinal dispersivity and also the transverse dispersivity are estimated by using the different initial points. So these are the the progress of the solution. So here the iteration number, because most of the optimization solutions are the iterative techniques. So just by iteration, we are searching the optimum solution and the performance criteria. So this is for transient state. Then these are the estimated transmissivity, longitudinal dispersivity, transverse dispersivity for various zones for noisy or corrupted head and concentration data for different initial guess of the parameter values. So the analysis of inverse problem for noisy head and concentration effect on estimated transmissivity. So we are also studied after adding the noise, the effect of error or corrupted data on the head and concentration. We are just studied on the transmissivity value. So these are all some graphs you will get in my presentation. And we have also studied the nodal size, that is the discretization, because how many elements or how many elements are needed or to discretize the finite elements. So here we have considered 3 schemes in the discretization scheme 1, where that 6 kilometer aquifer, we have discretized 49 nodes, 72 elements, and also we have discretized that same zone, so same region by 169 nodes and 285 elements, and 625 nodes and 1152 elements. These are just to see the element size, how it is affecting on the solution. So normally the element size, it depends upon the covariant number and Piclet numbers. So satisfying those two numbers, so the discretization scheme is to be chosen. Then for the same synthetic problem, we have used the genetic algorithm. So in the genetic algorithm, we need the generation of initial population, selection of coding scheme, running of FEM model for all sets of variables, evaluation of each string in population, performing the computational genetic operators. So selection of best strings, reproduction, crossover, selected strings, mutation of the strings, termination conditions. So these are all the genetic algorithm parameters. So I am not going to explain how genetic algorithm works. So, but we have used the genetic algorithm just to compare the estimated values with respect to JNM and GA. This is the genetic algorithm, is the non-conventional optimization technique. It won't needs any differential terms or any differentiation of the objective function or derivative terms. It needs only the information of the objective function, and we are comparing the value of the objective function at the present point and at the previous point. Comparing upon the objective function values, we are generating new set of points. So here this is the flow chart to begin, then initial population generation, parameter encoding, evaluation of objective function, select of the fittest strings, and formation of matching full, crossover operation to generate new strings, mutation on child strings, replace the child strings. These are all the GA algorithm. So we have used this GA algorithm. This is one of the global optimization technique. So same for the same problem, we applied GA and we estimated the transmissivity alpha L and alpha T for using noisy head end concentration data and also noise free head end concentration data. So similarly, we have also used the simulated annealing, which is a new algorithm and new, it's not a new algorithm, already people have started applying this for the other engineering problems. But for the groundwater, this is the first effort what we have in this study we have made to use the simulated annealing. This is also one of the global optimization technique. It won't need any derivative terms. It needs only the information of the objective function. So here the first initial step, select the randomly initial point. So initial point is selected randomly, and to calculate the corresponding initial value of the objective function E naught. So calculate the objective function, initial objective function for the initial point, which is to be minimized. So the objective function is to be minimized. Start the initial process, initial number t equal to t naught. That is the initial random selection of the parameters. So even about the simulated annealing, if you need more information, you can refer the Kirkpatrick paper or the book written by the Kirkpatrick. It is a simulated modeling is a very simple algorithm. It won't need much coding, and even it gives the better results than the genetic algorithm. So I will show the results. So about the different steps we are following in the simulated annealing, you please refer my PPT, which are to be shared with you people. So this is the flow chart of the simulated tunneling. And these are the result comparisons for the steady state and transient state. So here we have compared the results obtained from the GNM, the results obtained from the GA, and the results obtained from the SA, that is simulated tunneling, genetic algorithm, and Gauss-Newton marklet algorithm. We found that the results got from the simulated tunneling is better than the genetic algorithm, and both results which have been obtained from genetic algorithm and simulated tunneling are better than the Gauss-Newton marklet algorithm. So these are the longitudinal transmissivity, and this is the transmissivity dispersivity. So here another drawback of this GA and SA, of course, no doubt we are going to end with the global optimization technique, no doubt, but the number of iterations required is more. So it takes the problem converged very slowly. So to make it fast, so even we can club or we can couple both GNM and GA, that is the hybrid model. So that also we have tried coupling the GNM and GA. So we have tried to solve the problem with some 500 or 600 iterations, or to get the solution near to the global point. And to reach the global point very fast, we are again using the GNM method because it is a gradient based method. So these are the, then after estimating the parameters by using those algorithms, it is also required the consider or to calculate the reliability of these estimated parameters. So we have calculated the reliability of these estimated parameters by using the statistics. So for the transmissivity value, here we have used the statistical measures of overall fit, here estimated error variance and correlation coefficient. Reliability of the estimated parameters are also analyzed by using the sensitivity analysis, computation of sensitivity coefficient, composite scale transmissive sensitivity, and estimated parameters CSS for steady state and transient state. So this we have done. Then the variance and covariance matrix also we have considered. In the variance and covariance, coefficient of variation, confidential intervals, eigenvalues and eigenvectors. Then the again in the coefficient of variation, so we have calculated for both steady and transient state, means all these confidential intervals 90 and 95, whatever estimated parameters are there, the confidential interval is 90 to 95%. So these are the CSS estimated transmissivity for different head and concentration data. So optimum identification parameters. So based on the CSS value and objective function, we have optimized that the parameterized the entire aquifer. That is, here we have divided our synthetic problem into 9 zones. Then this, the whatever after estimating the parameter flow and solute transfer parameters simultaneously, and after analyzing the reliability of these estimated parameters by using the different statistical measures, we try to apply this for the field problem. So the field problem we have chosen is the Mahi right bank canal, which is in the Gujarat. So this Mahi right bank command area is about 3,15,000 gross command area, and nearly about 2,85,000 culturable command area. So we have considered this area and used this developed model for the synthetic problem to this field problem. So this is the Gujarat state, and this is the Mahi right bank canal command area, and there is a one weir, that is a Wanakmori weir. So then the canal will start from that weir. This is for the river Narmada, and canal releases are mainly from the that barrage. So this is the canal system, that is the canal system of Mahi right bank canal area. And here this entire area or this area consists some 11 talukas. So these are the talukas, and these are the contours of this area. And this area we have discretized to solve the simulation problem by using again the finite element formation. The discretization scheme is 395 nodes and 692 elements. So this is the donation. So nearly this was concluded. So this Mahi right bank canal, Mahi right bank command area divided into 10 zones. So these as shown in figure, and the modification of FEM based simulation model to apply the field problem. So we have suitably modified, and the calculated the depth to water table from ground, that is percentage of area considered 2. Okay. These are the results. So you can go through this PPT, which can be shared with you. Okay, thank you. This is ultimately now we are using this developed model for the to apply this to the Narayanpur left bank canal command area and also right bank command area to simulate the flow in these command areas. Okay, thank you. Any questions, please you can ask. ಇದು ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು and then final conclusion also. The final conclusions of this presentation, the present study, it concludes that the 3 algorithms developed for coupled inverse modeling can be used to estimate the aquifer flow and solute transport parameters, assessing the reliability of the estimated parameters. The coupled process inversion model based on observation of head and concentrated data yield better results. So it is better to estimate both flow and solute transport parameters simultaneously. Estimated parameter uncertainty greatly reduced. Convergence to minimal sum of squares values was rapidly achieved when both data sets were employed and given equal statistical importance. Then numerical analysis is carried to check the validity, stability of solutions of coupled inverse model developed based on JNM, SA, and GA, reliability of estimated parameters, analyzed using diagnostic statistics, obtained estimated parameters suggest the correctness of the obtained system parameters. Optimum parameter structure is identified using zonation method and based on the SSHCR and trace of variance covariance matrix. This has important implication in modeling of large aquifer region, where often a precise zonation of the entire region is a difficult choice. Okay, thank you.
All the participants can ask your questions in the chat section, or you can directly ask your questions by opening up your mic and introduce yourself and ask the question. There is a question being asked by Anand Rao sir. Many times for groundwater is available for borehole taken but after 3 or 5 days, availability gets diminished. Is it possible to know by using this?
Questions ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಥ ಎಲ್ಲಿ
Sir, I'll show you the chart section, sir. In that you can do. Anandrao, sir, if you are here, you can open up your mic and ask the question. There is a confusion with respect to the question you asked.
many times for groundwater is available for whole. Mainly,
Hello, sir.
hello.
So, what is the method of using modeling? What are the instruments used in that process?
So here the mathematical modeling is the numerical tool. So we are using the numerical tools, that is the mathematical modeling. But for the simulation purpose, we need some data. So that are to be obtained from the field just by observation or by measuring the data. So otherwise, this is a mathematical formulation. So you have the governing equations. The governing equations may be the differential equations or it may be the algebraic equations. You have the difference. You have the governing equations. So solve those governing equations for the initial boundary conditions and the known initial conditions, known boundary conditions. Then you will get the problem solution. So this is a mathematical model. Only thing is some data is required. That data is to be obtained from the field. Okay, next.
You said Narayanpur Dam, that's data is collected to total station. No?
No. So total station data is different. So we are modeling, this is the for aquifer problem. So that is the variation of groundwater and pollutant transport. So here we need the observation data from the observation wells. So normally the groundwater, central groundwater and state groundwater boards, they have established certain observation wells in the command areas, and they are measuring the variation of groundwater and the concentration of pollutant pre-monsoon and post-monsoon. Those data we required for the estimation of parameters as well as to predict, to simulate the problem, to know the variation of groundwater and solute transport.
There is a question asked from Pradeep Kumar. For groundwater modeling, how can we zero down a study area? Since in surface water modeling, we can visit the field and use RS and GIS in our studies, etc. And there is a simple question which has been asked.
How do we define boundary conditions?
There is another question, similar question being asked by Vaibhav also. How do we define the boundary conditions in groundwater modeling for limited data?
So in the groundwater, in the groundwater modeling, normally we are considering the area between two rivers, okay, or area between one river and major canal. So that boundary is considered as the constant head boundary, that is river boundary and the canal boundary, and the rest maybe the impervious boundary, so where the flow will not enter to the aquifer.
Whether the participants have any other question?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Hi, sir. Please introduce your name and.
Myself, Dr. Nagaraj Patil from Vishwasya Technological University.
Please, Nagaraj, tell me.
Namaste, sir. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Professor Huggie for giving a very nice presentation on this groundwater hydrology, because
Okay.
because there are very hardly few people who work on groundwater. So it was a very wonderful presentation. It was very informative.
Thank you,
Sir,
Nagaraj.
I have some doubts regarding this. Sir, how do we evaluate? It may be a part of this presentation or something different. How do you evaluate? For example, now check dams has been constructed, or some bunding trenching has been done there. How do we actually evaluate the? Is there any mechanism or standard mechanism to evaluate
Nagaraj,
groundwater research?
actually, okay, Professor Nagaraj. So, because of the construction of check bund or any nala bunds, see, this is nothing but the artificial recharge to the aquifer.
Yes, sir.
So, when we are discretizing the entire aquifer region, okay, each finite element node acts as a recharge wells.
Okay.
So, whatever flow enters through the node, it is to be calculated by using the recharge discharge coefficient method. That is the method suggested by Sulake. So, we have used the same technique for the Mahi right bank canal area.
Okay.
Each element, each node of the element acts as a recharge wells. So there you can accommodate your this, because this is the artificial recharge, just construction of local conditions. So only that area is getting the recharge. So that you can only for whatever nodes and whatever elements and nodes coming in that particular region. So because when you are constructing a check dam, so some water is going to store at the upstream side. Okay, that area you can discretize and consider that, so that what is the flow, quantity of water you are going to store. It all depends upon that. That can be done.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. ಏನಿದ್ರೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬಿಡತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ರಿ ಸರ್.
If there are any other further question, we will send you the mail ID of professor and you can ask your questions over there.
And PPT also shared. PPT also share ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು.
Okay. And the PPT will also be shared with you through mail or either through WhatsApp. So thank you, sir. Thank you for giving such a wonderful presentation and such informative presentation. It will help for all the research workers in various fields of groundwater. Thank you, sir. We'll end the session. The link for the next session will be sent to you through WhatsApp. Thank you for all the participants for enrolling in this session. Thank you.
45 ನಿಮಿಷ ಆಯ್ತು ನಾವು ಇದು